Wrong target. A dog's revenge. The neon glow of the city cast eerie shadows along the dimly lit streets as Maya Carter locked up her bookstore for the night. She had lived in the neighborhood for years, never fearing the walk home. By her side trotted Zeus, her massive Rottweiler, always alert, always protective. Unbeknownst to her, a gang of 3 masked men watched from a nearby alley, their sneers filled with racist hatred. They had been targeting black-owned businesses, breaking into stores and mugging people who dared to resist. But tonight, they had no idea they had chosen the wrong woman. As Maya turned onto a quiet street, she felt a shift in the air. Zeus tensed, his ears twitching. That was all the warning she needed. A sharp voice cut through the night. "Hey, girl, why don't you hand over that bag before things get messy?" Maya turned to see the 3 men closing in. One of them flicked open a switchblade, while another cracked his knuckles, a twisted grin on his face. Zeus let out a low, menacing growl. "Ain't nobody scared of a dog," one of them scoffed, stepping forward. Maya smirked. "You should be." The thug reached for her bag. Big mistake. Zeus, attack. In a blur of muscle and fury, Zeus lunged. His powerful jaws clamped onto the man's forearm, crushing bone with a sickening crunch. The thug screamed, dropping the knife. The second man swung a bat at Maya, but she ducked and delivered a precise kick to his knee, sending him toppling. The third one turned to run, but Zeus released his first victim and pounced, dragging the coward to the ground. Neighbors emerged from their homes, cell phones flashing as they recorded the chaos. Sirens wailed in the distance. The gang, now battered and bloodied, knew it was over. As the police arrived, an officer looked at Maya and then at Zeus, who stood over the trembling thugs, his chest heaving. "Looks like justice got served before we got here," the officer muttered, cuffing the criminals. Maya knelt beside Zeus, scratching his ears. "Good boy," she whispered. The city had its share of dangers, but one thing was certain. No one would ever mistake Maya for an easy target again. And no one would ever underestimate Zeus's loyalty. The police hauled the battered gang members into their cruiser, while neighbors gathered around Maya, murmuring in awe. Zeus stood by her side, his deep brown eyes locked onto the handcuffed men as if daring them to make another move. "Miss Carter, are you all right?" Officer Daniels, a familiar face in the neighborhood, approached her. He had responded to a few break-ins at black-owned businesses recently and had a feeling these punks were behind them. "I'm fine," Maya said, brushing dirt off her sleeve. Zeus handled most of it. She patted the Rottweiler's muscular shoulder. Daniels chuckled, shaking his head. "I believe that. We've been after these guys for a while. Looks like they picked the wrong person to mess with tonight." The man with the shattered arm moaned in pain. "That dog should be put down," he spat. Zeus let out a deep, guttural growl, causing the thug to flinch. "Funny," Maya said, crossing her arms. "You weren't worried about my safety when you pulled a knife. Should it?" Daniel snapped at the thug before turning back to Maya. "You want to press charges?" Maya glanced at the trembling gangsters, then at Zeus, who licked his chops as if he was still hungry for justice. "Oh, absolutely," she said with a smirk. The officer nodded. "Good. We'll make sure they don't get off easy." After giving her statement, Maya continued home, Zeus still on high alert. As she unlocked her apartment door, she felt a surge of gratitude for her 4-legged protector. She had rescued Zeus from a shelter years ago, but tonight, he had proven that he was the one doing the saving. As she settled into bed, Zeus curled up beside her, his heavy body warm against her legs. She scratched behind his ears, whispering, "Best decision I ever made." Zeus let out a satisfied sigh, and for the first time that night, Maya finally felt safe. But somewhere in the city, others like those thugs lurked in the shadows. And if they ever dared to come for her again, Zeus would be ready. A week had passed since the attack, and Maya thought the ordeal was behind her. The gang members were in custody, her bookstore was running as usual, and Zeus was enjoying his favorite treats as a reward for his heroics. But something didn't sit right with her. Late at night, she could feel it, the unsettling sensation of being watched. At first, she brushed it off as paranoia. Then, strange things started happening. One morning, she found deep scratches on her bookstore's back door, as if someone had been trying to break in. Another night, a shadowy figure lingered at the corner of her block, disappearing when she tried to get a closer look. She had a feeling the gang wasn't finished with her. A new threat one evening. As Maya was locking up the store, Zeus let out a low growl. His ears stood erect, his body tense. She followed his gaze across the street and saw 2 men watching her from a parked black sedan. One of them smirked. Maya's heartbeat quickened. These weren't the same guys from before, but they had the same look, predators hunting for an easy target. She turned to Zeus. "Let's go, boy." As they walked, she heard the car door open behind her. "Hey, lady," a voice called out. "We need to talk." Maya didn't stop. She gripped Zeus's leash tighter, even though she knew he didn't need it. The men started following. "You put our boys behind bars. That's a problem," one of them sneered. "And we don't like problems." Maya clenched her jaw. She wasn't about to run, but she wasn't stupid either. She reached into her coat pocket, gripping the small canister of pepper spray she always carried. Before she could react, one of the men lunged, but he never made it. Zeus exploded forward like a missile, the leash slipping from Maya's fingers. The Rottweiler launched himself at the thug, slamming into his chest with enough force to knock him to the ground. Before the man could even think about getting up, Zeus's massive jaws clamped onto his wrist. His screams filled the empty street. The second man hesitated, clearly debating whether to help his friend or run. Maya didn't give him a chance. She whipped out her pepper spray and fired a blast directly into his eyes. He howled, stumbling backward, clawing at his burning face. Zeus released his hold just enough for the first man to scramble back toward the car. "Call your mutt off," he shouted, fear shaking his voice. Maya took a slow step forward. "Tell whoever sent you. Next time, I won't hold him back." The thugs didn't need another warning. They piled into the car and sped off into the night. Maya let out a deep breath, her adrenaline still pumping. She turned to Zeus, who sat calmly, licking his paws as if nothing had happened. She smiled. "You really are the best decision I ever made." Zeus let out a happy chuff, tail wagging. Maya knew this wasn't over. But now, the message was clear. She wasn't an easy target, and anyone who tried to come for her would have to face Zeus first. The attempted break-in confirmed Maya's worst fears. This wasn't over. The gang still had members lurking in the city, waiting for the right moment to strike back. But this time, Maya wasn't just going to wait for them to come to her. She was going to take the fight to them. A dangerous plan with Officer Daniels and Devon's help. Maya learned the gang's name. The Iron Fangs, a ruthless crew that had been terrorizing black-owned businesses in the area. The man Zeus had taken down was a lower-ranking member, but his arrest put the gang on edge. "They won't stop until they send a message," Daniels warned. But they don't realize they're messing with the wrong woman. Maya wasn't the type to cower in fear. If they wanted to send a message, she'd send one right back. Devon, who still had old connections within the gang, agreed to act as Maya's informant. He fed her and Daniels intel about their meeting spots and hideouts. And soon, an opportunity presented itself, a secret gathering at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. "We go in quiet," Daniels said. "We gather evidence, confirm who's in charge, and let the law handle the rest." But Maya had a different idea. "I want them to know exactly who they crossed." She looked down at Zeus, who sat by her side, his dark eyes burning with intensity. "And I want them to see my dog's face when their empire crumbles." Into the wolves' den the night of the raid, Maya, Daniels, and a few trusted officers surrounded the warehouse. Devon had tipped them off about a shipment of stolen weapons inside, enough evidence to put the Iron Fangs away for good. As they moved in, Maya and Zeus took a different route, slipping in through a side entrance. The warehouse smelled of sweat, gasoline, and rusted metal. Shadows flickered under dim lights as gang members whispered about their next move. Then, Maya spotted him, a towering figure with a snake tattoo slithering up his neck. Luther Kane, the leader of the Iron Fangs. "We should have finished the job," Kane growled to his crew. "That bookstore lady and her damn dog embarrassed us. Next time, we torch the place." Maya clenched her fists, but Zeus tensed beside her, his body coiled like a spring. Daniel's voice crackled in her earpiece. "We got enough evidence." On my signal, too late. Zeus lunged forward with a furious snarl, knocking over a stack of crates as he charged straight at Kane. The gangsters barely had time to react before chaos erupted. Zeus unleashed. Kane reached for his gun, but Zeus was faster. The Rottweiler's powerful jaws clamped onto the man's forearm, shaking violently. Kane howled in agony, dropping his weapon. The gang scrambled, but the police swarmed in, shouting orders. Gunshots rang out, and Maya ducked behind cover. Zeus dragged Kane to the ground, pinning him under his massive weight. "You want to rob people?" Maya shouted over the commotion. "Let's see how tough you are without a weapon in your hand." One of Kane's men tried to grab Zeus off him, but Maya was faster. With a well-placed punch, she knocked the thug out cold. By the time the dust settled, the warehouse was in ruins. Kane and his crew were in cuffs, their operation dismantled in a single night. A message delivered as Kane was dragged past her, blood dripping from his torn sleeve. He sneered. "This ain't over." Maya smirked. "Oh, I think it is. Because next time, Zeus won't stop at your arm." Kane's eyes flickered to the Rottweiler, who stood proudly beside her, his teeth still bared. For the first time, real fear crossed his face. Daniels clapped a hand on Maya's shoulder. "You really don't do things the easy way, do you?" She laughed, scratching Zeus's head. "Nope. And neither does my dog." As the police loaded the gang into their cruisers, the city lights seemed brighter, the night air lighter. Maya knew the battle wasn't just about her anymore. It was about every business owner, every black entrepreneur who had been targeted. Tonight, the message was clear: mess with the wrong woman, and you'll answer to her dog.